So now before we can show videos in our UI, we have to fetch them from our database. And again, we're going to be doing that in our YouTube API service. We could actually do it within Next.js as well, but I prefer having like a separation of concerns, and we already have this anyway. So the first thing we're actually going to do is similar to last time. We're going to add the collection ID and the video interface. So we're kind of duplicating some code, and believe it or not, there are solutions to fix this, which we won't really go into detail on. We're going to take the easy way out, which is just taking code and copy and pasting it around. Again, we're going to create a callable function, which I'm going to call get videos, adding that S. That's important because this is actually going to include multiple videos. And once again, we're going to add the max instance, and I'm going to set it to be 1. And we're going to add the callback here, which is not going to take any parameters in this case. Unlike previously we did have, I think it was called a request. This time we don't, because our get videos does not need to accept any parameters. We're going to do the same thing regardless. Basically, this is going to be a pretty naive solution where we're actually just going to fetch, like, let's say 10 videos from our database and render them in the UI. Now, there's a lot of limitations with this approach. One, it's hard coded. It's not going to have any pagination. We're just always going to return 10 of like the first videos. It's not going to be tailored to the user's preferences or their subscriptions or anything like that. For that, we would definitely need like the user ID as a parameter. So we would need that request, but this is still going to work. And it's actually going to be even more naive than you think. There's going to be a bug in this implementation that you might be able to notice. And if you don't, we will go over it in the end of this course. First things first, we're going to take Firestore, and for the video collection, which we can get like this, before we fetch from it, we actually want to limit it to 10 videos. So just 10 any videos, and we're going to get those videos. So regardless of even looking at them, and that's kind of a hint of what the bug could be, but moving on, this is going to be the snapshot. And for this snapshot, I think actually we probably want to make this in a wait. So now if we hover over this, you can see it's a Firestore snapshot. And what we can do with that actually is get all of the documents. And for each of those documents, this is going to be an array. We're going to map each of them to the data of the document. So kind of like we had to do up above if you, well, it wasn't in this function. I think it was in our video processing service, but for every document, you do have to call doc.data to actually get the real data. Whoa, that's going crazy. And then that. And here we're going to just return. Now notice that in this one, we didn't need to check if the user was authenticated or not. And that is actually by design, because even if a user isn't logged in, they should still be able to watch videos. I mean, YouTube definitely supports that. So now the only thing left for us to do is to deploy this. And you can do that with Firebase deploy -- only and functions : get videos. You could also just call the npm run script, which I think was npm run deploy, and just deploy all the functions. There's nothing wrong with doing that, to be honest. I'm just showing you again how to do it this way. Whoops. And make sure you are in the correct directory. I think you have to be in the functions directory. So YouTube API /functions, and then rerunning that command, and it should work. And in our case, we did get a linting error. So we had a line that was too long, and it looks like it was line 66. So it is this line right here. We'll just move that to the next line and then re-execute this. And after it's successfully deployed, you can actually test out callable functions with an HTTP client. I'll show you how to do that real quick without actually testing it within the UI. If you go to Cloud Run, you'll see now we have get videos deployed. You can click on it. You can also find it in Cloud Functions, and it actually has a different URL in Cloud Functions as it does in Cloud Run. For some reason, I can only get it to work with an HTTP client using the Cloud Run URL. I don't know if that's by design or not, but if you copy this URL, and I'm going to test it with Thunder Client. So I'm going to create a new request and cleaning this up, and we're going to do this endpoint URL. And with Firebase functions, you always want to make a post request to any callable function. And for header, you always want to add the content type of JSON. So clicking that, and then here, application JSON, and a body actually is always required. This is probably something that the callable function on the client side is taking care for us. Here we have to explicitly set a data attribute, which is going to be an empty object in this this case. So once you got that and you have it saved, I don't know if actually saving is necessary, but then you're ready to make the request. I'm going to make it, and we see it actually does work, and we get what we expect because there's only a single video stored in our database right now, so we got that one. If we added more, we would probably be able to fetch more, but we'll save testing that out for the UI.